Hi, YouTube! I'm a clown today! Because guess what? I figured out that God is the ultimate prankster. It's self-evident, really, if you think about it. Now, it can't be too self-evident because then the joke would be too easy to figure out. It has to be a hard-to-figure-out joke. God wouldn't just make a joke that's like, oh, okay, great, God, yeah, cool, funny. It has to be a joke where it's life or death if you don't get it. If you don't get it, it's like, God, the conversation of like after our species gets extincted by our own stupid consequences and not figuring out the joke. The conversation that God has is like, it's like, what happened? What happened? They all died. What the hell happened? It's like, well, they didn't get the joke, dude. It's like, oh shit. They didn't get the joke? No, they didn't get the joke, so they all killed themselves. Oh shit. Well, start over? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I guess, try it again. That's the reality of what we're dealing with here, is that we're born infants, we're born babies that literally have no power, no ability. All the other animals in the animal kingdom have claws, teeth, have the ability to run really quick when they're first born. What do we have? What do we have? We have nothing. And we're born totally ignorant. So the reality is, this is all a joke. It's all a prank being pulled on us. We're expected to figure it all out. We're expected from infancy as a species, think about it that way, total ignorance as a species also, from the absolute darkness of infancy, expected to reach a level of godhood. And the paradox is, the closer we get to it through materialism, the further we get away from the spiritual reality that there is in fact a creator, that there is in fact an intention, a meaning behind all this shit. And it's like the Fermi's paradox or something, where it's like you can't have it be a detectable, or you can't slow it down and it be like, the more noticeable it is, the less approachable it is. And so we've gotten to a point where with physics and with math and with all these things, we can say, oh, wow, the nature of the universe, we figured it out. But we get further and further from the reality of understanding that there is a creator that made all of this intentionally to make it so that we could become gods ourselves. And the closer we get to a sense of godhood through materialism, the further we get from a sense of godhood within ourselves individually. And so this joke is on us. And it's on us to figure out the joke, or to figure out who we are in this whole scheme of things. And the fact that we start out completely ignorant that way makes it all the better of a joke. Because if we don't figure it out, it's like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal, because we can always start over again. I realize that this is me. Like, honestly, anytime somebody can bring up this kind of a point, you seem like a madman. You seem like a madman. How dare you suggest that it's not serious, that it's not just a ride, that it's not... It is just a ride, like Bill Hicks said. It's just a ride. And the more you put all this worry and concern into it, the more distant you become from realizing that it is just a gaffe. And that God's just the ultimate prankster. We're here just to figure out our purpose and potentially become what was intended, which is for us to be like, Christ people, like to be totally, to figure it out. And the reason I say that it's a joke is because it's hilarious. I mean, if you really think about it, like it's because if we don't figure it out, it's a fucking tragedy. But if we figure it out and then we look back on it, we get a little chuckle. And that's the value of it, is that little chuckle. When we actually do figure out that this is all sort of a simulation or a simulacrum of God's creation and God's spirit in form. It's, once we figure it out, it's like, oh, that's kind of clever, kind of funny, But if we don't figure it out, our species is wiped out. And that's the joke. That's why it's funny. And we wouldn't get it because we're why is that? How could that possibly be funny? Because you don't get it. You don't get the humor. And the reason you don't get the humor is because you're not a part of it. You haven't activated. And I'm not saying, I am saying that I'm activated and I fucking figured it out. I figured it out. But I'm somebody who's been thinking about the reality of the universe for fucking forever. And the reason I started thinking about this was because a close friend of mine, somebody who I love, started to become a clown. And one of the things that you look back on history is that clowns used to be something of like mad people that were respected because of their connection to God. And then you look at children. Children are they're little pranksters. That's all they do is little fuckers. They just prank on you all the time. All they want to do is, that's all little kids are. And they are closer to the spirit that they came from than we are, certainly. And it's the comedians, it's the people that are the most hilarious and the most without any worry, that are truly the most connected to the spiritual realm. It's because God's a prankster. So this is the, and it's a game. It's a game for us to become aware of why we're here. Because let's face it, like I said, we start out totally ignorant. So the whole game is to figure out who and what we are. It's not to make money, it's not to get pleasure, it's not to do this, it's to figure it out. We have to figure out that what this is ultimately a cosmic prank. And then when we do, then we level up. When you get the joke, then you get to have the powers and to level up, like people like Nikola Tesla and others. When you start to realize that this is a cosmic sort of comedy, a comedy of errors, a comedy of intentional errors that lead us to harder struggle. We're here to suffer. And it's like, why would you do this to us? And it's like, well, it's a great fucking joke. Sorry, it's the funniest joke of all. And it's like, God, again, the conversation between God and whatever angels or whatever, it's like, well, why don't we just give them like something? Why don't we give them, maybe a little bit of knowledge? It's like, no, dude, because then they'll figure it out easier. We give them nothing and we expect them to become like us, or else it doesn't work. The joke doesn't work that way. And comedy is very, particular. If you don't have the right nuance in comedy, like, for instance, Joe Biden's 120 years in the Senate joke, I don't even think that was a joke. And I don't think anybody else thought that he thought it was a joke. I think he, honest to Christ, thought that, that was a true statement. Funny is a very nuanced thing. And if you don't know how to tell a joke, then you straight up aren't going to be able. If you don't get the humor, if you don't understand humor, then you're not going to be able to evolve or level up. That's it. Peace.